When the lights of consciousness fade, the rational and good world of the day retreats. All that remains is silence, and a breath rising from that silence. In your dream, you are running down a corridor. Whatever is behind you is about to catch up. You don't see its face, but you know it isn't you, or so you think. Carl Jung gave this dark pursuer a name, the shadow. It is the sum total of everything the ego has cast out, deemed inferior, or buried deep under the pressure of society. Today, we will descend into the depths of the Shadow Atlas to question why this figure haunts us so relentlessly, how the modern obsession with looking perfect turns it into a monster, and how we can extract a healing from this very terror. According to Jung, the ego is the center of consciousness, but it is not the totality of the personality. Beneath the ego lie all those primitive impulses, ambitions, and disappointments that we refuse to accept. This is the shadow, the other self that the ego rejects. But why does it chase us in our nightmares? Because the shadow is not just a passive storage room. It is autonomous. It possesses its own will and emotional intensity. The more you run from it, the more it forces a relationship with you. The feeling of being chased is actually a reflection of the ego's terrifying resistance to its own unconscious content. Jung compares the shadow to the alchemical stage of nigredo, blackening. To become whole, one must first come into contact with what is darkest, most unclean, and most frightening. The figure in your nightmare is not there to destroy you, but to complete you. For the soul, by its nature, rejects division. Why is this story the same for all of us? Jung states that the shadow is not merely a personal problem, but a part of the collective unconscious. Throughout human history, the dark twin, the devil, or the monster archetypes appear in every culture. It is universal because every light casts a shadow. At the core of this mechanism lies projection. When we cannot bear to see our own evil, weakness, or primitive urges, we project them onto someone else. The person we perceive as an enemy is often a replica of our own unaccepted face. This is why the shadow figure in nightmares feels so strangely familiar. It is our unknown face. The modern world demands a persona, a mask. We must always be kind, always successful, always good. Jung severely critiques this obsession as we look for everything outside, in objects or external divine figures. We leave the inside of the soul empty. The more you try to appear like an angel on the outside, the more savage the shadow becomes. Beneath the polish of civilization, the most primitive gods and monsters still reign. When modern man throws his sins outside, projection, his soul is deprived of value, and this void is filled with the suffocating atmosphere of nightmares. For Jung, healing is not about escaping the shadow, but shaking its hand. This process is called individuation. It is not a process of becoming perfect, but of becoming whole. Individuation is what Jung calls a longissima via, the longest way, a path full of labyrinths and terrors, winding like a snake. The first step on this path is to accept that the figure in your nightmare is a part of you. The person who becomes aware of their own darkness is a person who can no longer be manipulated, walking toward their own totality. Integrating the shadow into consciousness means stepping out of the limited world of the ego and approaching the vast and divine totality called the self. This is a healing process because a divided soul can only find peace through the sacred union of opposites, conjunctio. What we have learned in this journey of the Shadow Atlas is this: the figure chasing you is actually a messenger calling you home. It is your other half. the part you abandoned and felt ashamed of, but without which you can never be complete. And what about you? When you sleep tonight, are you ready to face that figure at the end of the corridor? Or will you turn the lights up a bit more and continue to run from yourself? Remember, those who do not see their shadow are condemned to walk in the dark.